Milk is supposed to be one of the safest things you give your family, but in the Philippines, many popular milk brands aren't really milk anymore. They're powders, sugars, and promises hiding behind familiar labels. Today, we reveal the milk brands you should never drink in the Philippines. 10. Bear Brand. Bear Brand is one of the most trusted milk names in the Philippines. For decades, it has been positioned as a symbol of strength, immunity, and good health. Many Filipino parents grew up drinking it and now give it to their children without hesitation. The branding feels almost medical, almost protective. And that trust runs so deep that most people never stop to ask what Bear Brand really is today. Despite its image, Bear Brand is not fresh milk. It is a highly processed powdered milk drink designed for mass distribution and long shelf life. Much of its nutritional value comes from added fortification, not from the milk itself. The product goes through multiple industrial steps before reaching Filipino homes. What tastes comforting and familiar is the result of formulation, not simplicity. The concern isn't that Bear Brand is instantly harmful. It's that it has been normalized as a daily health drink, especially for children. When a product relies heavily on processing and additives but is marketed as strength and immunity, perception overtakes reality. For Filipino families, the risk lies in unquestioned routine. Trust should be earned through transparency, not inherited through generations.
9. Nido. Nido is everywhere in Filipino households. It's often the first milk given to children once they move past infancy. Parents see it as nutritious, complete, and essential for growth. The yellow packaging and strong messaging around vitamins and minerals create a sense of security. For many families, buying Nido feels like responsible parenting, not something that needs to be questioned. What often goes unnoticed is that Nido is not fresh milk. It is a powdered milk product that has been heavily processed and reformulated. The natural structure of milk is altered, then rebuilt with added sugars, flavorings, and synthetic nutrients. Much of what makes Nido nutritious comes from fortification, not from the milk itself. This is very different from drinking whole or fresh milk. The issue is how early and how often it's consumed. When children drink sweetened, processed milk products daily, taste preferences are shaped for life. Sweetness becomes normal. Real milk tastes bland by comparison. Nido isn't dangerous in a single glass, but as a routine staple, it trains Filipino kids to associate health with sugar and processing. That's a habit that's hard to undo later.
8. Alaska. Alaska milk is a familiar sight in Filipino kitchens. It's affordable, widely available, and often marketed as a practical choice for everyday families. Many people grew up seeing Alaska on the table, which creates a sense of reliability. When a brand becomes part of daily life, it stops being evaluated. It simply becomes routine, and routine rarely gets questioned. What many consumers don't realize is that many Alaska products are classified as filled milk. That means dairy fat has been replaced with vegetable oils, and the product is rebuilt through processing. The creamy taste comes from formulation, not natural milk. Added sugars, emulsifiers, and fortification are used to make it feel complete, even though it's far from fresh dairy. The concern isn't affordability, it's clarity. Filled milk is not the same as real milk, yet it's often treated as a full substitute in Filipino households. When labels aren't clearly understood, families believe they're getting nutrition they may not actually be receiving. Alaska shows how cost-saving formulas can quietly change what milk means without consumers realizing it. 7. Birch Tree. Birch Tree is often seen as a practical, no-frills milk choice for Filipino families. It's positioned as affordable, filling, and reliable, especially for households trying to stretch their budget. Many parents choose it thinking it offers the same benefits as other milk brands, just at a lower price. Over time, that perception turns into habit, and habits are rarely examined closely. Like many powdered milk products, Birch Tree is heavily processed. It is not fresh milk, but a reformulated product designed for long shelf life and easy distribution. Much of its nutritional value comes from added vitamins and minerals rather than the milk itself. The natural balance of dairy is altered, then reconstructed through industrial processing to meet cost and stability targets. The issue for Filipinos is how these products are framed as everyday nutrition. When powdered, fortified milk becomes the default, real milk slowly disappears from the diet. Taste expectations change, and sweetness becomes normalized. Birch Tree isn't about immediate harm, it's about how processed substitutes quietly replace whole foods, especially in households that trust labels without fully understanding them. 6. Cowhead. Cowhead is a recognizable name in many Filipino households, especially for powdered milk drinks. It's often marketed as creamy, filling, and kid-friendly, which makes it appealing to parents looking for an affordable option. Because it's imported and well-packaged, many consumers assume it offers the same value as fresh milk. Over time, that assumption becomes routine, and routine replaces careful choice. In reality, Cowhead is a reconstituted milk powder product. The milk is processed, dried, stored, and later rebuilt with added sugars, flavor systems, and nutrients. What you're drinking is not milk in its natural form, but a manufactured version designed for shelf life and consistency. The creamy taste comes from formulation, not from fresh dairy fat. For Filipino families, the concern is substitution. When powdered milk drinks replace fresh or minimally processed milk, nutritional expectations change. Children grow up used to sweeter, heavier flavors. Real milk starts to taste unfamiliar. Cowhead isn't about danger in one glass. It's about how processed milk becomes the norm without people realizing what they're giving up. 5. Nestle Fresh Milk. Nestle Fresh Milk sounds exactly like what Filipino consumers want. The word fresh creates immediate trust, especially in a country where access to local dairy is limited. Many families believe they're buying something close to farm milk, just packaged for convenience. The branding does a lot of work. It reassures, simplifies, and removes doubt before the carton is even opened. What's rarely discussed is how heavily processed this milk actually is. Nestle Fresh Milk is ultra-heat treated to extend shelf life, which fundamentally changes the structure of the milk. While this process makes distribution easier in the Philippines, it also reduces natural enzymes and alters taste. What remains is a stable product, not a fresh one in the traditional sense. The concern is not safety, but perception. When fresh becomes a marketing term rather than a description, consumers stop asking questions. Filipino families believe they're choosing the best possible option, when in reality they're choosing convenience over natural quality. Nestle Fresh Milk shows how language can quietly redefine expectations without changing the product itself. 4. Anchor. Anchor is often seen by Filipinos as a premium milk choice. It's imported, well-packaged, and associated with countries known for dairy farming. That image creates confidence. Many consumers believe Anchor is closer to real, high-quality milk compared to local brands. When something looks premium, people assume fewer shortcuts were taken. That assumption is rarely challenged. What most consumers don't realize is that many Anchor products sold locally are made from reconstituted milk powder. The milk is processed, dried, shipped, and later rebuilt into liquid form. While this is legal and common, it is not the same as fresh milk. The nutritional profile depends heavily on processing and fortification rather than natural dairy balance. For Filipinos, the issue is expectation versus reality. Anchor is priced and perceived as superior, yet the base product is still industrially processed. When premium branding hides how far a product is from its original form, consumers lose the ability to make informed choices. Paying more does not always mean getting closer to real milk. 3. Dutch Mill. Dutch Mill is one of the most recognizable dairy drinks in the Philippines, especially among children and students. It's often packed in lunch bags and sold near schools, promoted as something healthy and nourishing. Many Filipinos treat it like milk, assuming it provides the same benefits. The colorful packaging and friendly branding make it feel safe, light, and appropriate for everyday consumption. In reality, Dutch Mill is not milk. It is a cultured dairy drink with very high sugar content. The sweetness often outweighs the actual dairy value, and much of the flavor comes from added sugars and flavorings. While it contains some milk components, nutritionally it behaves more like a sweetened beverage than a true milk product. The concern is confusion. When sweetened drinks are positioned as milk, especially to children, habits form early. Filipino kids grow up associating milk with sweetness rather than nourishment. Dutch Mill isn't dangerous on its own, but when it replaces real milk regularly, it shifts diets in a direction most families never intended. 2. Vitamilk. Vitamilk is widely consumed in the Philippines and often treated as a healthy milk alternative. Many Filipinos see it as nutritious because it's soy-based and marketed with energy and wellness messaging. It's common in supermarkets, convenience stores, and school areas. For busy families, it feels like a smart, modern choice, but familiarity can blur important distinctions. Vitamilk is not dairy milk, and nutritionally, it behaves very differently. Most popular variants are heavily sweetened, with sugar levels that rival soft drinks. The soy base takes a back seat to flavoring and sweetness, turning what could be a functional drink into a dessert beverage. Protein benefits are often overshadowed by added sugars and processing. The concern isn't soy itself, it's positioning. When sweetened soy drinks are treated as everyday milk replacements, dietary balance shifts quietly. Filipino consumers think they're choosing health, but repeated consumption reinforces sugar dependence. Vitamilk shows how health messaging can mask what a product actually delivers. 1. Magnolia Fresh Milk. Magnolia Fresh Milk is widely trusted by Filipino families who want something closer to real milk. The Magnolia name carries decades of credibility in the Philippines, especially in dairy. Many consumers see it as a safer alternative to powdered milk, assuming fresh means minimally processed and nutritionally intact. That trust makes it a staple in many refrigerators. What most people don't realize is that Magnolia Fresh Milk is still heavily processed to survive distribution and shelf life demands. Ultra heat treatment is used to keep it stable in a tropical climate, which alters the natural structure of the milk. While it remains legal and widely sold, it is far from raw or farm-fresh dairy. The taste and nutrients are shaped as much by processing as by the milk itself. The issue is expectation. Filipino consumers believe they're drinking milk in its natural form, when they're really drinking a highly managed product designed for convenience. Magnolia Fresh Milk isn't unsafe, but it's often misunderstood. When fresh becomes a label instead of a description, families lose clarity. And clarity is exactly what everyday food choices should be built on. Milk should be nourishment, not marketing. In the Philippines, many trusted brands rely on processing and perception instead of real dairy. Share this so families can question labels, understand what they drink, and choose food with awareness instead of habit.